Well, we are alive. This is surprising, I guess. After almost a week, I think. How much it has been? I never checked that. Almost, yeah, almost a whole week. Uh, Here we are. So, hello, nice. Uh, well, yeah, we still have like 5 minutes before we really start. So, anyways, uh, I guess I should say somewhere that I'm quite sick still, so that it is explained. I don't have to say it every single time. Something like that. Uh, uh, let me let me pin this. Yeah, something like this. Pin. Okay, there it is. Anyways, I for myself. Yeah, thank you. So, almost a week. That's what I was trying to say. Almost a week since the last time I was here. I won't lie. It has been quite a crazy time since that last occasion. So yeah, I I guess I'm quite happy that we are here, but things happen, so it feels still quite weird to be here. I feel like, anyways. I don't know. I guess I guess we are going to see how all of this goes. That's more interesting. But yeah, uh, I still have a little bit of a what is it? Throat ache? No, how do you say it? I am a little bit sick in the throat still. Let's say like that. Simpler. And yeah, I don't think I can so far fix it in any particular way. Mostly because also certainly I have probably nothing really going in the sense of how to try and not feel so bad, no, so tired after getting my throat. Not my throat in particular, in general myself, a little bit sick. But yeah, I I guess we are here, and certainly we haven't properly started, but as always, it is a pleasure to be here. After it didn't, yeah, I didn't fully get sick, and I didn't get fully taken out by anything of what is going through me. In that, in terms of my own uh, quote unquote sickness, so I am happy with that. But at the very same time, I don't really have any other. Yeah, I don't have that much more to add. I guess even if it has been a week and also a so yeah, yeah, I'm alive finally. After like a week, I am alive. Sorry for missing so much. I we had problems. Let's leave it at that. There were some problems. There were some things that quite impeded me from properly streaming. Let's say, but yeah, here we are. that's more than enough. But anyways, uh, just in time. Hello everyone. Uh, and this time for real, quite a long time. We are back. We get to be back. Hello, and also thank you, Savannah. Um, but yeah, as always, hello everyone. I hope everyone is doing fine, and I hope everything is also going. Um, what's yeah, as always, welcome viewers, watchers, workers, and yeah, today in particular, we have Savannah to say hello in particular, welcome, and yeah, here we are. We are going mostly to see how my throat in general feels and all of that. I am trying to see if I can even talk for a whole hour. I don't know how is that going to go. Particular, I know I can do it like how I am trying to do right now. A little bit of whispering more than anything else, but I don't know if I can talk for a whole hour. I have okay. Now let me properly explain myself. I have uh, gotten a little bit of a problem with my throat because it got a little bit of cold, and because of that it ended up I don't know particularly how you explain it on English. That's the problem. I had some accuse and such on throat, and I needed to expel all of that stuff. It ended up being quite annoying certainly, and I am still with not so much, but I still feel like a lot of them in my throat, and it quite impedes my proper respiration and all of that by itself. So we are going to see if I can even talk for a whole hour properly, or I am going to sit in. I don't think I will sit in silence. I don't really enjoy. If we are here, I don't really think I will enjoy simply being silent as always. Uh, One of the few things that we have that adds any particular value is the fact that we are, yeah, that I can say whatever. And if we lose it because, as in this case, my throat is a little bit complicated, let's say it like that, I, I don't really believe it's that good anymore. And yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I give me okay, give me a second. Anyways, as I was trying to say, I I don't know. I believe still we have quite a lot of things to talk about. I mean, it has been almost a week, so certainly there had been some things going on. There had been quite a lot of changes, or not changes, just things that I learned. Let's say like that, and similar degrees of interesting things going around. And all of those are, yeah, quite good to notice. At least I feel so, because I haven't really, throughout this whole, let's say, journey, paid attention to any of those instances in terms of recollecting whichever things I have learned. And yeah, today, as always, it is quite a nice occasion to try and do it. After all, I, yeah, I know that I have learned quite a little bit, but I don't know exactly which things. And I have noticed with more and more information that I keep consuming, at the very least on my case, that it becomes blurrier, the whole image, let's say like that. But everything else that I might try to observe later on, makes more sense. I don't know if it makes complete sense itself. Uh, so now I review sleep. It is it isn't yeah it isn't late, it isn't early, it is like 12, what is it, 12 a.m. or almost 1 p.m. Why? Uh, anyways, I don't know. What is it? They go wash your face. That's literally one of the easiest methods. But it isn't morning anymore. It is. Let me check. I am pretty sure it isn't. It isn't that early anymore. It is like the middle of the day already. Uh, It's time. Let me see this myself. Yeah, it is 12. 12:06. Yeah. I knew that it wasn't that. It is already midday. I don't know. Okay. I understand then that you need a few hours. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I used to take some time certainly. Also, my case, I used to need quite a lot sometimes. And I was in need always of my whole process of waking up and all of that, and it was quite, I believe at the very least, quite annoying because I ended up spending, I think, like half an hour or a whole hour on my bed before really waking up itself. And with time, let's say like this, with time you learn that you can wake up a lot quicker if you do some things properly. It is a whole process, but it can not take that long for you to wake up. I let's say like that. But yeah, anyways, as long as you're awake already, that's fine, no? As long as you're awake, that is already progress. I feel like. Uh, Also, welcome, Scotty. Welcome, or the hidden Scotty. Hi. But yeah, as I was saying, I I don't know. I think it had been quite a long time since the last occasion that we were here. So a lot of things ended up happening, and a lot of things ended up being learned in the process. Let's say, but all of that doesn't seem that annoying by itself. Certainly, it just happens that because there are so many things going on and such, I can't I can't really put my finger down into exactly which ideas I ended up learning about. I don't know. I guess it is quite crazy. I feel like because the more you try to learn about some things, the more progressively clearer everything that you try to do later on becomes, while at the very same time, the whole process of what you learned is blurrier and blurrier because the very same nature of that process is, I feel like, quite impossible to properly conjure up in just one sentence. Let's say like that. I I don't feel like it is necessary for anybody here to, let's say, check what they know or what they don't know. I don't ever like anything like that. But if you were to do it, it takes almost exponentially more and more time to try and do it. I feel so here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm quite happy with that because after all, as we were talking, for example, with the case of rest and such, if you can properly take time and you can properly attend to the matters that you are dealing with, let's say, you end up finding out that things are quite easy to, in general, solve, and things stop being so much of a problem and rather a situation in which you gain the possibility of properly acting. And if we are doing, something of such a nature, we end up really losing out on the factor of life can be a little bit more enjoyable than just being annoyed at the first obstacle found in life itself, I guess. Also, yet again, give me a second, please. And I certainly have a little bit of stuff going on. Anyways, that's what I wanted to say. I feel like we have progress yet again a little bit, but at the very same time, I can't exactly say where. The important thing is progress. To progress in itself, I guess it isn't really necessary to, in any particular way, try to explain how, as long as one has the complete awareness, let's say like that, uh, or they are completely sure that the progress itself is properly what they want. At, at the least, that is how I feel, and I don't know. As I was trying to say, I guess that is already something good, and that is already an advancement. But yeah, that besides, I don't know. Also, a lot of stuff has been going on lately, and a lot of things have been moving. Let's say, uh, sadly, okay. So certainly, I might want to address this one thing. Um, Throughout time, I have been trying to find some ways in which I could properly stream some more at appropriate times, and I ended up having quite a hard time figuring out when exactly to do it in terms of time slot itself, because it ends up being quite annoying. At the very least, that's how I feel it. To do it, it's just to end up being tired, because certainly I used to do it later, a lot later, almost when I was going to sleep, or right before I was going to sleep, let's say, and it ended up being quite a tiring experience and quite a tiresome, yeah, experience overall, because I was certainly, no. Right now it isn't late. It is incredibly early in the opposite almost. It is like, let's see, 7 and a quarter here. It is incredibly early. Or I mean, for me it is early. There are some people that certainly stay up that late, but for me it is early because what I did was I went to sleep, and right as I was waking up, I decided to change that. That's the point, kind of. I decided to change the schedule into doing it right as I wake up. And obviously, also, I am not somebody who wakes up so early, so I had to change a little bit my own schedule. But it works. I feel like at least the last time I tried, I I felt like it was a lot better than when I am going to stream. So tired already. But yeah, that's the whole deal basically. That to get on stream in a better time slot will probably be a change that I will try to. Um, I will have to talk about. Firstly, I I haven't really made it official. I haven't really made it something certain anywhere. But yeah, I guess we're going to stay with this one. I prefer it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is 7 a.m. Um, it, it is quite early indeed. Once again, there are some people who probably stay up to these hours. I don't. I went to sleep before. But yeah, um, I am annoyed already. Give me a second. Give me yet again another second. Okay, there it is. You used to. Yeah, I think I I saw you sometimes around when it was incredibly late there. That you out of nowhere appeared, and it was quite. Yeah, I mean, it is quite weird. I won't lie. Once you get to stabilize your own sleeping schedule, you end up seeing how weird it is for others to stay up to such late hours. And I don't know, not to say it in a bad way, obviously, but it is weird to see people staying up to such late hours, to the moments in which the sun is already rising and you are still awake. You know that's quite crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I guess uh, what works for one can be maintained, even if it isn't the most efficient thing, let's say, because certainly, um, well, I mean, okay, personally, when I used to do some stuff of that sort, I mostly went for the enjoyment itself that was found out in doing whichever is it that I wanted to, because I knew that there was nothing else going on and I had no worries whatsoever. But the problem is sometimes you kind of overwork yourself or overthink the matters as if everything was literally stopping you from doing whichever is it that you wanted to do, when the reality itself ends up being the the overworking that you're doing and the overprocessing of the things that happen around you at late, yeah, at earlier times is literally the only thing that happens. Not that the events themselves are that annoying or anything of that sort. And I don't know, I never really paid attention when, because it is a whole process of slowly becoming conscious of those flaws inside of yourself and such. Once you get to acknowledge that it happens particularly to you, something of that sort, you end up noticing almost the need, or yeah, the necessity over not paying too much attention to what your mind might be saying in those terms and in that sense. After all, what you should be wanting is not to get so lost in the problems, but rather to start moving towards the act of living itself. And I mean, there are also some other problems here. I mean, we're only saying this as if we knew everybody what we wanted in particular, but I feel like probably also when I used to go to sleep so incredibly late, n- not lately, but when I was a lot younger, it was also because of a tendency of not even having an idea about which things is it that I wanted to do. Therefore, there was no need to take care for oneself, you know. And I guess it is quite weird to say it. After all, you will you wouldn't believe that your own perception will change so much throughout time, if it is quite indeed expected for that to happen to anybody. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the point still remains of with enough patience, you get to see the proper reasons as to why, in this case, in my case, if it isn't obvious, I can justify going to sleep quite early to also wake up quite early. And I don't know, I feel like everything else slowly falls into place because of that same reason. But yeah, I I don't know. I don't know. Um, okay, I will try to drink some water. So give me a second. I don't know how it is going to go. It is quite early, so I hope I don't choke anyways. Give me a second. Okay, okay. It went fine, I guess. Anyways, so that besides, I guess we can properly start with something like I was learning about the last time and such. Yeah, I certainly had. I mean, it was almost a whole week, so quite a lot of things happened. Uh, I mean, we went probably from just. I would need to properly think about it, but I think we ended up going from just. Uh, what was it? We. Wait, we were in classes, we learned about a lot of different principles. We learned about a lot of things that end up being used later on, and certainly. Okay. Um, Something that we have been dealing with lately has been this whole notion of how um, utterly necessary for you, or not for you, for anybody, it is to understand everything that is being presented, such realms of knowledge, because in this case, uh, what one is trying to learn about in psychology is not something so, let's say, flimsy that you can ignore, or some parts to just focus on others. It is necessary for um, anybody who is interested in mental health to, at the very least, get the most basic concepts properly boiled in their minds so that they can, from there, move on to the rest of the useful ideas and not be distracted by only the, let's say, shiny things that appear in the middle of the road. Because, and that I have been also observing quite a lot, there are a lot of sites and there are a lot of ideas that you need to understand in order to keep delving. But these ideas by themselves are already alluring enough so that you might believe that they are worth it, the effort of, let's say, fully using your whole, yeah, your whole self in order to try and just understand that one tiny part. And obviously, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to learn all those things that you realize you can't understand, but rather that, and yeah, this I feel it is like a almost a problematic thing. We don't talk enough about the necessity of not over focusing on some aspects of the whole journey. In this case of being, yeah, trying to learn about psychology, I think, and I don't know, I guess it is quite crazy to realize that also this whole process is becoming more and more separated from the show itself, let's say, because there are a lot of ideas that we talk about, and there are a lot of notions that we observe, at the very least here on the uh, first year, and all of them are quite unexplained and quite, uh, yeah, not so properly given to anybody, you know. And even if you try to make them seem less of an annoying thing, it is still, at the very least in my case, I feel like a, a problem to realize that out of nowhere you have no proper to move yourself from what was given to you based only on that. If you have, let's say, a broader perspective about the topics that might be talked about, you could have the possibility from there on of properly continuing with the path of um, learning and the path of trying in any way possible to, yeah, to build yourself up into an even better professional, let's say. But it has become quite weird, at the very least for me, to see that we don't have that many practices here. We are discussing a lot of short ideas that are being given to people as if only that were to be the meaningful part of whichever, whichever incredibly influential human we are talking about in the field, and we are ignoring almost the necessity over, yeah, that I feel like even mentioning, I wouldn't say analyzing, even mentioning authors and even uh, given, yeah, give them the proper recognition that they might have in terms of there are some other people out there that if you were to dedicate some time, he could obtain some useful perspectives from, because at least that's how I feel about this. This isn't about the problems that you are presenting. This is more about the whole side of useful notions that they are giving you, and the whole side of proper, yeah, recognitions. No, okay, revisions of tools that you already have. Because after all, in this whole journey, it isn't necessary for you to only have one trick, but rather to be capable of applying as many things as you can properly into whichever field that you need to apply them on. Because not doing so, I believe so, is quite a quite a dangerous thing. Uh, yeah, I don't know, I don't know. Anyways, have a nice breakfast, Savannah, even if it isn't that early. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, have a nice breakfast. But yeah, I feel like that's certainly something. I don't know if annoying or weird that I have observed, and with enough time, I have also recognized it happens more than what they are capable of themselves saying. And I don't know, I don't think it is. We. There is pretty much a very present word in this whole idea of you're being indoctrinated. Holy shit, no. Uh, if you really call something like that indoctrination, I guess you haven't even seen what real indoctrination is. Because this is only people who had become too infatuated with their own opinion and have lost the capacity to recognize that there are some other things out there that still need to be explored, but everything else is not so bad as a proper indoctrination. Nobody here is getting killed because they are exploring, or nobody here is getting expelled because they are trying to learn about something in particular. And with enough time, you start to recognize that cataloging things of such nature as this type of, yeah, this incredibly exaggerated type of view, at the very least, I feel like it's very damaging. And I don't know, I wouldn't know exactly if that is something good or something completely bad. I just know by itself that it is annoying that they don't even mention this aspect. Once again, the idea is for you to try and become a proper professional, no? So you might as well try to gain access to as many different tools as possible. It is, yeah, it is pretty much a present idea here, at the very least on the first year, that all of this is quite comparable to a holistic view of the mind, let's say, where if you were to try and deal with problems without recognizing the whole integrity of the mind, you might as well be losing out on the possibility of truly admiring whichever thing it is that makes up this whole block of knowledge that you are trying to absorb or that you are trying to solve, let's say, in the case of a problem. Uh, I I don't know. I feel like this problem itself becomes quite a quite a dangerous thing to keep ignoring also. After all, not only it is a necessity for you to properly try and observe which aspects you might be lacking in, but also if you can't even recognize that there is something that you are not being capable of dealing with, you might very well be in front of something that is blocking you from the chance of, let's say, okay, yeah, I believe so. It will take me quite a minute here, but once you gain the capacity of recognizing that something is not right and that you can't even deal with that problem, what happens is in the recognition itself, you're already creating a yeah, a foundational ground for you to move on. Because it is in the recognition of your incapacities that you are becoming aware of which, yeah, obviously, which uh, concepts you needed to keep investigating. And if it is because you are not even trying to recognize what you're lacking, that you keep moving on and on as if you were completely right on every single thing that you're exploring, it is in those instances that you might very well be completely lost in the process of trying in any way whatsoever to discover how is it that you can properly continue expanding your whole field of skills and what is it, uh, aptitudes towards, in this case, a profession. In other ways, it happens quite differently, but I feel like at the very least here, it works in such, yeah, in this type of nature, let's say. And I don't know, I guess it isn't that bad, but Yeah, let's say like this. Because it isn't particularly my problem, I don't feel that annoyed, but I certainly could see why living something like this, the whole society of people who are going to become professionals might be a problem later on. Probably mostly obviously for them, but also for those who are attended by them, let's say. No, not that. Yeah, not that. It, it hurts quite a little bit, but we are not really preparing people for work, let's say like that. If you can't even recognize which kind of problems you have, and if you can't even realize which obstacles are presenting in your life, you might as well be losing the sight of which place you are trying to go to, and that's quite a problem. I feel like I don't know. I I just say it as if I were, in any particular way, somebody who understands the whole process of this. Uh, I don't know. I guess probably one of the few quote unquote positive aspects might be that, as always, because you have so much of a high opinion on yourself, you end up believing that you can deal with a bigger variety of problems compared to the ones who are capable of realizing which things they lack at every single instance, but you might not be properly capable of dealing with them, even if they are somewhat associated with your field of knowledge. So that's why I believe so. The act of recognizing all of these things is quite useful. But I don't know. I don't know. I anyways. Okay. I wanted to say this because I don't want it to get even later and not have said anything, so that it yeah, so that it can feel a little bit more natural. Uh, Let me say this. I am already feeling a little bit tired and I am already feeling a little bit exhausted. Mm, I I guess certainly, and even more now that I have my throat in this state, people has kept me very silent, and I didn't realize how incredibly tiresome it was to keep talking so much. Because once again, I had been pretty much in silent for almost this. Since when was this? Since Friday? Okay, I went out on Friday, and since Saturday, I haven't really talked that much. So, for almost, yeah, not almost, for 3 whole days, I barely talk, and I didn't expect to get so, yeah, once again, so incredibly drained by this process. But I don't know. At the very least, well, what I will keep repeating, we get to be here, and that's already enough. I will try, even if it even if it is very obvious. I will try to regain the consistency that we used to have before. I feel like that is very much a factor that I have lost sight of quite intensely. Let's say, but yeah, I don't know. Anyways, uh, let me drink some water, and after that we are seeing what is it that my mind takes us. Yeah, let me drink water, please. Okay, we were incredibly fine. Anyways, so moving on onto something different. I was lately, as I tried to say before, sorry, as I tried to say before, I I was analyzing and I was trying to learn about a lot of things, and one of the few ideas that I can properly name was this Q. Yeah, I don't know if it is huge. It feels like it is huge. Perspective of hermetic principles and such, and all of that sounds quite crazy. That is my first and shortest way of describing all of that field of knowledge and whatever. I I have never really felt that. I don't know. There are. Let me properly explain myself. These ideas, these hermetic principles, seem to be quite interesting because, to a certain extent, they could be applied in the whole journey of self motivation. But all of this is at the very same time quite a weird bunch of uh, notions that try to describe the world in a manner in which you become, I would say totally, but certainly self-centered. And I believe that is already quite a problematic thing. And that is pretty much dangerous as always. But yeah, I don't know. And all of these ideas and all of this world of hermeticism by itself can be used and can be certainly analyzed as something that you can extract a lot of benefits from, but at the very same time, they all have a nature of not so much clear perspective on how everything might be. Okay, it is all surrounded in too much mysticism, and that is by itself, I believe, a problem because when you have the chance of properly explaining things to other, and when you have even more the chance of properly addressing the situations that you are trying to analyze, you obtain the most, I believe so, most beautiful gift of having in your hands now the knowledge that you have been trying to go for fully shown to you. And because you can understand it properly, it is that you can keep moving without any problem whatsoever. But if by trying to use something like the Hermetic principles, you move in a world in which notions are not so clear, and once again, you are mystifying your whole existence, once you start to deal with more and more intricate problems born out of this by itself, this whole process of trying to even uh, recognize where you might want to go in life. Because of all of these things, you lose the chance of dealing adequately or in a shorter time at the very least with any particular instance of annoying things that might happen to you. And you know, I by continuing to observe them, I guess I will try to. Not I will try. I have already found some, but I will manage to extract whichever things is it that are contained inside of them. But once again, by themselves, they don't seem to be that useful. But anyways, give me a second, and after that, I continue explaining. Uh, I I didn't fucking mute. Fucking fail. Anyways, fuck. Uh, yeah, I basically needed to blow my nose. Sorry. I should have muted. I should have properly checked. Anyways, moving on. I guess. Fuck. Completely fuck. Anyways, so I wanted to say, I wanted to continue with what I was trying to talk about. So this whole world of ideas and this whole side of hermeticism seems to be very centered on the potential of the individual and all of that. And I guess a lot of particular philosophies that are thrown around nowadays seem to be certainly paying more and more attention to the individual. And okay, I don't remember exactly where, but I heard, okay, yeah. It was in one of my, what's with translation? Theory of society and the state or something like that. That's not that's the literal translation. I wouldn't know how could you properly translate that into a course in English. But yeah, on one of those classes, we had a discussion in which supposedly nowadays the world is focusing less and less on the individual and more on the whole, yeah, on the society as a whole, and how, because of this whole notion, it happens that we are being alienated from the possibility of even realizing how meaningful it is the actions of every single individual. Because once again, eh, the society itself is composed of all the individuals, even if all the individuals themselves don't make up the society by themselves. Eh, but yeah, in that case, it happened to me that I don't believe we are really alienating or we are losing on the chance of realizing how incredibly good we have it in terms of, yeah, of paying attention to who we are and paying attention to which things is it that we have going on for ourselves and such. But rather, we are starting through a lot of different ways try and catalog ourselves as something that certainly contains a proper meaning and certainly contains a proper side on their own existence of importance. Because, I mean, even Christianity itself talks about a lot of the potential of the individual and such. And you can say, or it would be disingenuous to say that we are finding the capacities of the individual impoverished, impoverished, impoverished. How do you say that? uh, diminished. Let's say diminished because you have not given them the chance of noticing how incredibly important they are once again as individuals, and with all of the tools that they might be capable of finding and such, and all of those things so far, for me at least, don't really feel as one of the most impossible perspectives to try and observe. They rather have, okay, we have rather created a lot of varieties to try and communicate basically the same idea. After all, okay, probably what I can say is we have a problem with what is the overall view. In a broader sense, it is as if somehow there is this whole concept. I barely mentioned that society is composed of the individuals, even if all of the individuals that make up society under some don't equal society, because society is above the whole group of individuals. And I feel like in those same terms, the society itself doesn't really value that much what are these perspectives, while at the very same time, every single individual is somehow aware of the necessity of properly placing yourself in a, quite obviously, in a place of importance in your whole life so that you can keep properly pushing for your ideals, let's say. And all of that, at least for now, for me, feels very much as if we had that problem. It isn't like it never existed, but we had that problem earlier on. I had I think I have a vague idea as to why, and I would really shy away from trying to say exactly why is it that we had such a problem before, and it is obviously, I feel like, because we are not dealing exactly with just the problems themselves, but rather because we are talking about this whole world of, there are things and there are particular uh, sides of our own views in terms of trying to analyze and trying to, once again, no, become aware of all the things that have to deal with the human capacities, but in the process of doing so, we ended up finding ourselves having, yeah, at this point, they feel almost one next to the other. Two world wars in which it was shown in one way or another how utterly defenseless is the individual. So from there on, let's say, there was a scar created on the societies because after all, the impending doom that was always hanging on your head, from which you had literally no capacity of doing anything to try and stop it, because you can always avoid it, but it only means that you are going to serve yourself, not that your whole city or that even your whole house is going to be saved. Only you as an individual can ditch everything that you had for the sake of surviving somehow. Well, that very same thing happens repeatedly throughout history. To, even if two times isn't that much of a repetition, it already is enough. And well, I mean, I would also consider probably the Cold War as a tiered world war almost. Certainly, even if we don't see that much of a story being told about it, it was quite meaningful. And all of those three things, or well, I mean, there are always problems in that sense. It isn't as if we were living in the current era without any particular war going on. Certainly there are some, but the point is because it is so consistently shown to the people, or it was at the very least in those times, how defenseless you were against those things. The necessity for those who have noticed that the whole spirits of humanity were slowly, let's say, uh, dimming, decided to try and create in any way possible a proper explanation as to why it will be capable for you to try and change the world. And why would it be a necessity for you to try and believe in your capacities? And all of that end up creating this whole bunch of different, yeah, not theologies because they are not really about gods. Yeah, okay, philosophies that try and speak about the nature of your acts and about the importance of doing something that feels good or whatever. And all of those things, once again, even if we are not fully paying attention to them, ended up with enough time by those who found them useful enough being perpetuated or being altered and adapted to suit the necessities. That's why nowadays we might as well be having, I don't know, probably like from the whole side of a modernly uh, mainstream philosophies, let's say around, if we were to suppose that there are 30, at the very least 20 of them are based on the importance of the individual and how incredibly capable they are of doing, of dealing with problems or whatever. All of those things are, once again, quite useful, I feel like, but we we're, I believe, slowly going back into this whole self-centered perspective instead of really moving forward. And I don't know, I say that, but at the very same time, I have this whole notion hanging above me while I was talking about this. I realized, like, at the after the first 5 minutes of me talking about this, I don't know really how much of a reality this is also. Eh, because certainly, even if it is a problem, that we have a lot of perspectives that talk about the individual as something so much more important than everything else in the world, we are not truly going in any particular direction in terms of everybody being so self-centered that they are working their best or their hardest to achieve their dreams, let's say. We are only, not only, we are riding the waves of a progress that is being made by those who have certainly adopted these perspectives in life. But we are not, as a society, once again, encouraging the creation and the usage of these perspectives. We, quite obviously, we shame those who even try to believe of themselves as something so much more capable of dealing with their problems than anything else. So certainly, this ends up being an interesting perspective to have and an interesting idea to try and observe, because not realizing that all of these problems do happen and do take a place in the very life of those who use them. I, 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 I don't know. I guess we are good, basically. it isn't really that much of a problem. I don't think we're going to, in the next 10 years, become completely self-centered. Let's say like that. But yeah, welcome back, Savannah. I hope then you enjoyed your peanuts. But yeah, so I guess that I don't know, but certainly what I was trying to say is all of these things are in some way or another related to the different philosophies that we are talking about, and uh, I never really thought about it, but certainly even somebody like Nietzsche might very well be considered a philosopher who ends up being self-centered because the whole idea of the Ubersmensch ends up being about the potential of one individual. And even if obviously the perfect society is built up by every single human aspiring or becoming that Ubersmensch version of themselves, it is necessary for every single one of them to fiercely realize that they have that possibility and striving towards those. But yeah, maybe I am precipitating my own words and talking faster than what I can really think. After all, the supposed idea of Nietzsche isn't that certainly Ubersmensch is, yeah, and a society driven by Ubersmensch is going to become in any way self-indulgent, but rather it can also be even related to what somebody like Plato talks about in the Republic. The ones who are the most capable of dealing with their problems should be the ones who should aspire for those positions. In that very same case, it happens that the Ubersmensch shouldn't be somebody who is self-centered, but rather somebody who's capable of dealing with the problems of society themselves. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to mention that I guess I throw in that possibility. Maybe it happens that it is in some way or another self-centered. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I I have yet to keep reading, and I have. Yeah, that has been quite weird. I have, as I said before, completely changed this topic. Also, I have lost, not lost. I have used quite a lot of time learning, but it is incredible how much media is out there in terms of nothing related even to the biggest authors, and I guess it is only expected after all. We are so many people that it is amazing to see that, but it is still appalling, at the very least for me, to realize that I have spent probably in the last week or so like 20 hours or something like that, and not even one of those was with the popular or the mainstream philosophers or the most quote unquote useful ones, or be it philosophers, be it physicians, be it psychologists, be it whatever, not even with one of those bunch, basically. Uh, I don't know, I guess it can happen, but it still feels weird to realize that. I feel so, anyways. So, I think I will drink some water. I feel like my throat is quite dying. Give me a second. Yeah, I don't know. That besides, I guess, or moving on. Basically, I was I was still trying to learn. Eh? Drink? Ah, yeah. Don't worry. I mean, I also try to not drink that much right now because it is quite cold, and it makes me cough a little bit. Uh, well, in reality, it helps, no? It ends up being quite useful to get all that stuff out, but I don't like it. I don't like it exactly. Yeah, yeah, it is cold. I am not going to drink something hot. It is cold. I I like my water cold. I mean I am not drinking something like mate or anything like that, so there is no reason to have hot water. I don't understand the people who drinks hot water. I am sorry. Um, eh, no. I mean the water. Uh, here it is also, or well, the opposite. Here it is almost winter, but it isn't cold itself. The climate and all of that. In Argentina, we are suffering quite high temperatures for what was it for? Oh my god, I literally said it. Summer? No, winter for winter for winter. No, I don't like. I am sorry, but I don't like hot places. I I hate I hate the hot places. I am suffering here already, and it isn't that hot here. But yeah, I mean, probably not. We used to have. I hope you use Celsius. We used to have like the last summer it was like 40 Celsius or something like that at one point. 40, 41, 42. The highest temperature was like 47 one day. And certainly it gets quite unbearable at some points, but it is still quite a pleasure to not have so much hotness that literally nothing works. It used to happen before. Well, I mean, but also that was a problem more related to the whole infrastructure of things that wasn't properly working and similar. But yeah, it is. It was hot, basically. That's the point. So probably in a place like Netherlands, where it isn't that close to the what is it? To the Mediterranean? No, to the very. I don't even remember it on Spanish. That line that crosses the world, where from the middle, from that place, Netherlands shouldn't be that close, basically. So it shouldn't be that hot there right now. I hope so. I. But yeah, yeah. Wait. You shouldn't have the same climate. Isn't Netherlands literally known for its snow? At least that is the picture I have in my mind. I mean, here it never snows. You should, we shouldn't have the same climate. I mean, there are some places in Argentina where it snows, certainly. Like, what is it? Cordoba, I think it is. Uh, yeah. We have a lot of climate, certainly. There are some places in which probably we have the same climate as you. But exactly where I live, no, we don't. We have what is it, tropical or semi-tropical, something like that? Subtropical. Uh, a subtropical climate, because certainly we live in a place full of humidity and where the waters themselves also contain a lot of the heat, and obviously end up reflecting quite a lot of that heat onto the surface of the vicinities. But yeah, I I guess it is quite crazy to see that. whole. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I haven't really thought about it even. But the whole global warming and all of that, because we didn't have that many high temperatures as we had before. I mean, I think it has been almost 3 years in a row that we used to have now the highest temperature recorded ever, every single year, one after the other, and it has been quite surprising. Uh, it was, it is, it is a pleasure. I guess I don't know. The world that isn't going to die supposedly. Eh, Chile? Ah, Chile. Yeah. Yeah. Chile is. I mean, Chile is certainly another place that is so incredibly big that they have a lot of climates. They have some islands also where there is always a tropical climate and where supposedly the temperatures don't change that much from like 10 to 30 or something like that. So yeah, Chile is also interesting, but they aren't as big as Argentina, so I think they don't have what is it? No, they have snow. Why? No, they also have desert. I don't remember. I know we saw it also in school. There are some places, not some places. There are some climates that they don't have, but I don't remember exactly which ones. I am not a knower of those things, but yeah, they have quite a big variety of them at the very least. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess as I was trying to say, uh, the world is heating. Wow. No, sorry. I don't know. I have discovered quite a lot about that, and I don't know. Sometimes it feels certainly like we create a lot of panic and a lot of problems that seem even bigger than what they really are, just because we want to, just because we want to, let's say, make them seem even more dangerous or more important than what they are. And no, I am not going to tell you where I fucking live, Savannah. Thank you, but no. No, not happening today. I, I mean, I was okay. I didn't really discuss this that much with anybody, but I have been thinking about going to some convention or something like that. And the problem is because there are so few of those, it will be quite easy for anybody to kind of guess where I live. Because certainly I am not going to move myself to some place like fucking Buenos Aires to go to a convention. I don't want to go to Buenos Aires just to assist to a convention. Wow. So if I were to do so, I will probably try to avoid saying that it was me. But already, when I say that I went to X place, it will be quite easy to place me on some minimally close areas, let's say, so it will happen that at some point people will know where I fucking live, and I hope it doesn't happen that they literally know exactly in which street, at which house, with how many people, because I'm going to go completely schizophrenic if that were to happen. But yeah, the point was, it will happen. At some point, people will learn. Not today, happily enough. But yeah, anyways. Anyways, I was trying to say Yeah, yeah. I was trying to say we we sometimes make things seem even bigger than what they really are. And I mean, I don't know. I was no, no, thank you, son. I won't tax myself to anybody. That won't happen today. Thank you. Uh, but going back to what I wanted to say, uh, I think it happens that we create a lot of quote unquote awareness of some problems that we have because we can certainly see that they have a certain level of necessary importance to them, even if we can't properly measure how much of a dreadful thing it will be to not pay attention to them. We end up quote unquote properly giving them enough importance so that we can later on deal with them in a more proper manner because we end up putting, after all, more manpower into solving all of those troubles. And it has been quite repeated throughout history that it does happen like that. But nowadays it happens that we somehow have lost focus on the biggest of the problems because somehow, and I don't know exactly where, but the idea of we need to solve tinier things that are almost non-existent nowadays. We need to solve those instead of solving the ones that really occupy every single one in society. And it is quite weird to see that happening so much. After all, you see people dedicating their whole lives to things that almost doesn't matter, not because it by itself matters completely nothing, but because they themselves are paying too much attention to things that are really not even used by that many people. And not, obviously, once again, not because these things are not being used because somebody is hiding them, but rather because nobody even has the necessity of using them. And no, we are not talking about creating a necessity here. We're talking about properly having tools and properly having things to deal with in this world so that you can, after that, keep properly existing without as many problems as we used to in the past. Yeah, in the past, basically, in the when older generations existed, let's say. Uh, so I don't know. I don't think it is that easy for me even to say, "Wow, we should refocus." Once again, I literally said it. I don't even know why it happened that out of nowhere. We have shifted the narrative or the perspective from we have to solve the biggest problems into, okay, you know what? Let's focus on the tiniest of the things that literally affects one people in 5 million. Something that matters nothing. But anyways, let's focus on that. I don't know. Anyways, uh, so I have something to say because I have felt it quite a lot already. So I guess I can say I can feel like I am I am reaching my end. I mean, I lost at the very least the squeakiness. At some point, my throat decided to make me completely squeak. But yeah, I am quite tired. I can't avoid but to feel tired right now. So I will I will have to excuse myself and I will have to leave. I can't keep going. I'm, I'm at my limit. No, not that badly, but yeah. Anyways, I don't know. I guess we ought to be here and once again implying that I get to survive until tomorrow. And all of that, we will see what we're going to do next time. But this is the limit for me today. So far, I can't keep going. I have found that I need to stop. So, anyways, as always, the most important thing, people, thanks for everything. It has been certainly a pleasure, as always, and yeah, um, it's time for me to keep. Well, not to keep it is incredibly early. So, anyways, as I was saying, thanks for everything. Remember to take care of yourself. Remember to sleep properly, to eat something, to hydrate, to stretch, most importantly, to be happy. And whenever we can, we're getting back here. Probably tomorrow. I don't promise anything, but probably tomorrow. And even if we don't, even if this never repeats itself, we were happy today. And that's everything. Nothing else matters. So, anyways, as always, see you until next one. And if don't, at the very least, thank you for being here. Once again, thanks for lurking, thanks for watching the world, thanks for being here, and have a good one. Because now the most important thing is we are leaving and we are going to raid Sketch. Who is what is Sketch doing? He who is playing Wuthering Waves, that Genshin Impact kinda game. But anyways, have a good one, people. Thanks for everything. Goodbye. I need to rest. Goodbye.